Alright, so for this, okay, which of the following is false? So this means repeated multiplication. That's what exponents are. So 8 times itself one time is just 8. 3 to the third is 3 times 3 times 3, which equals 27. 4 to the negative 2, when the exponent's negative, that means you have to drop it underneath the exponent, or underneath the fraction bar. So 1 over 4 squared is 1 over 16. For number 6, exponents first. So 6 times 2 to the second power is 4, and 6 times 4 is 24. So therefore, this answer is C. Which of the following coordinates would be a solution to 4 to the x? So this says plug 0 into x, and 4 to the 0 power is actually 1. 4 to the 0 power is not 2. 4 to the 1 power is itself 4, so your answer is C. For this one, this would be 4 to the second power, which is 4 times itself, which would be 16 and not 8. For 3, exponential growth is what happens when the base is greater than 1, and since this base is greater than 1, your answer is C. For this, the formula is P times 1 plus R to the T power. So P is the principal, that's 2,000. 1 plus R needs to be written as a percent, so you need to move the decimal over 2 places. So this is 0.06 to the x power. So this is 2,000 times 1 plus 0.06 is 1.06 to the x power. Your answer is A. So angle 1 is this angle right here, and that connects x with w with y. So xwy, C. Complementary means they add to 90. So this is 5x minus 16 plus x plus 10 equals 90. Combine like terms, 5x plus x is 6x. Negative 16 plus 10 is negative 6 equals 90. Add 6 to both sides, and 6x equals 96. And divide both sides by 6 to get x equals 36. What am I thinking? 16. Now, they did not ask you for x, they asked you for angle DBC. So we have to actually plug into DBC. 16 plus 10 comes out to a grand total of B26. 7. 1 and 2 are vertical angles. When you see that word vertical, that means equal. So 2x plus 15 is equal to 7x minus 20. Subtract 2x from both sides, and we get 15 equals 5x minus 20. The opposite of minus 20 is add 20 to both sides. Plus 20 plus 20. So 35 is equal to 5x. And divide both sides by 5 to get x equals 7. So once you get 7, remember, it didn't ask you for x, it asked you for angle M. Angle 1. So this is 2 times 7 plus 15 for an answer of A, 29. A is at 1, 4. There's A. B is at 3, -2. There's B. We want to figure out how long that line is. So let's make this into a right triangle. This has a base of 2 and a height of 6. So to find the missing side of the triangle, we use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. A could be 2, so that's 2 squared. Plus b could be 6, so that's 6 squared equals c squared. 4 plus 36 is equal to c squared. 40 equals c squared. And root both sides to get the square root of 40 equals c. This answer is D. A linear pair. If they're a linear pair, that means to add to 180. C. Midpoint. When you see the word midpoint, that means equal. So we subtract x from both sides, and we get 2x minus 2 is equal to 6. Add 2 to both sides, and we get 2x equals 8. And divide both sides by 2 to get x equals 4. So if x is equal to 4, that means we could plug it back in right here. 3 times 4 is 12. 12 minus 2 is 10. So we get x equals 10. Because remember, they asked us for am. He solved for x, but needs to plug it back in. Next, we're talking about transformations. So, since this triangle is flipped over this line right here, this would be considered a reflection, B. That maps the rectangle onto itself, that would be A. Because if you went 90 degrees, you would end up with this triangle here. And you don't want that. 180 basically just spins it all the way around. The slope of 3 over 4, when it's rotated 90 degrees counterclockwise, or sorry, clockwise about the origin, what would the slope be? So whenever you rotate 90 degrees, slopes are flipping opposite. Flipping opposite. So 3 over 4 becomes flipped, and the opposite sign, which comes out to D. Which type of transformation is this? So since it's x plus 2, that means you're going right 2. So I know it's not A or B. And since it says negative y, we're going to go from positive y to negative y, which means we cross the x-axis. You don't need the graph to do this. The graph is just there kind of like as a tool to help. Like for example, if you took the point 1, 2, 1, 2, and you plugged it into here, so this would be 1 plus 2 for x, and then negative 2 for y, which would be 3, negative 2. So this point would be reflected over the x-axis and shifted right 2 spaces. C. Polygon is a name for just a shape. So this is a kite. These little markings right here mean that the kite has 2 lengths of 5. So 5 plus 5 means this whole stick is 10. And then 6 plus 10 means this whole stick is 16. And the formula is d1 times d2 divided by 2. d1 is 10, d2 is 16, divided by 2, this answer is 80. 80 inches squared, B. This triangle. So if you count the bottom, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This would be right 3 down 4. And this triangle over here would be left 3 down 4. So when you use Pythagorean theorem, you'd figure out that these two sides over here were 5. This is an isosceles triangle. Two sides are equal. How can you find the area? Adding all the sides together, that would be called perimeter. Multiply the base times the height. That would be a rectangle, or a parallelogram. C, multiply 1/2 times the base of 6 times the length of one of the sides closer. It has to be 1/2 times the base times the height, because the area of a triangle is equal to 1/2 times base times height. Uh, 19. Can't remember which one I'm on. Okay, there we go. So for 19, let's see, what would be the definition of a rhombus? Is a parallelogram with 4 congruent sides. That's a rhombus. A. The trapezoid. So if this is 16 here, that means this part down here is also 16. And we need to figure out what this part is so we know what our base is. So to do that, we've got 2 sides of a triangle. We need to find this missing side. So we have to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. C is 13, because that's the hypotenuse. That's the diagonal side. B would be 5, so that's 5 squared. And we don't know what a is, so we're going to solve for it. Well, 5 squared is 25. And 13 squared is 169. And when we subtract 25 on both sides, we get a squared is equal to 144. And the opposite of squaring something is to square root something. We get a equals 12. So that's our side down here, 12. Which means our entire base is 28. So the area of a trapezoid is b1 plus b2 divided by 2 times the height. Base 1 is 16, base 2 is 28, divided by 2 times the height of 5 comes to a grand total of d. If anything is equal to itself, that's an example of the reflexive property. Which one is an example of the multiplication property? So this one would be the distributive property, not A. This would be the division property, B. If you times 6 to both sides, you'd get 42, so the answer is C. This one would be the subtraction property. If A equals B and B equals C, then A equals C. This is an example of the transitive property, which is always true. For 23, if they're supplementary, remember supplementary means 180, not 90, so this is never true. Corresponding angles mean they're in the same position. So 1 and 8, 1 is top left, 8 is bottom right. So it's not 1 and 8. 3 and 6, 3 is bottom left, 6 is top right. Those are alternate interior angles, so it's not B. 4 and 6, 4 is bottom right, 6 is top right. Those are same side interior angles, so it's not C. Our answer is D. 3 is bottom left, 7 is bottom left, so they're in the same position of each intersection. So what would be the correlation and coefficient of the scatter plot to the right? So if they formed close to a straight line, then it would be 0.9. But since these dots are kind of all over the place, it'd be closer to 0.09. 0.9 would be something like this. Be like, yeah. 26. It's a triangle. So that means all of these need to add to 180. So x plus 2x plus 6 plus 2x minus 6 equals 180. Combine like terms, x plus 2x plus 2x makes that a 5x. 6 minus 6 is 0 equals 180. And divide both sides by 5 to get x equals 36. B. And for our last problem, okay, the grand total is down here in the bottom right, so it's not A. Joint relative frequency of adults sold for a drama. So adults, drama are 54. So 54. And since it says relative, you must divide by the grand total of 200. So your answer is B. The reason why the answer is not C, the marginal frequency of a comedy, so comedy marginal means 114. That is correct for marginal frequency, but we have this divide by 200, and you only divide by the grand total if you see this word relative. And then conditional relative frequency, you divide by what comes after the word given, and that word is adult. There are 106 total adults, so this number would have to be 106. So that's why your answer for 27 is B. Good luck.